All right, good morning. Hello, how are we? Lucy's awake. I know, Lucy. Notice anything different other than I haven't shaved? Notice anything? Yeah. No one's here yet. But I'm real excited for that first person that's going to say something. Adjust this a little bit here. There we go. Hope everybody had a lovely weekend. Hello, Balthazar. How are you? What's up, Daniel? What's up, Karen? Good to see everybody. I did get glasses. Great job on Jesse Ventura, bro. Thank you, Daniel. I had a lot of fun on Jesse Ventura. I felt a little stiff. Just because, like, I couldn't see him, you know? So, I appreciate that you liked it. What's up, Andrew? Good to see you. Hi, Edwin. How are you? Good to see everybody. And thank you again for the kind words about the Jesse Ventura appearance. I appreciate that very much. Matthew, what up? What's up, Hobo Roadie? Good to see y'all. I hope all is well. Chris, called it. I got a new backdrop. And there's some new lighting. Why? Because I have the best fiance ever. This was my surprise for my anniversary of going around the sun. I came home yesterday. It's actually not my actual birthday yet, but my fiance wanted to give it to me early because she wanted me to have it when I started the stream this week. So I was out yesterday doing the Jimmy Dore live stream, and when I got home, I had a brand new setup right at my desk. New lights, this backdrop, and my fiance was standing there, and she goes, "Happy birthday!" So she's great. I'm a very lucky guy. What can I say? I don't mean to gush, but what a cool surprise, right? Huh? You guys like it? I feel good. Chris, I still can't get my friend to watch your show, Ron, even though he's a lefty and a huge punk and metal fan. Well, why not? What's he scared of? Is he not a comedy fan? Is it me? Is he worried I have BO? I probably do this time of morning. I don't know. What's he afraid of? Is it like I don't want to get my news with a comedian? I don't blame him. I get it. But you could tell him it's not just a comedian. You're getting your news with everybody. We're getting our news together. That's the point of Get Your News On with Ron. And we have a very important, by the way, Music Monday topic. Happy birthday. Thank you, Schulte. It's not actually my birthday yet, but thank you. I have a weird phobia of getting older, so I'm like always, it's not yet. Wednesday will officially be my birthday. And it's Ozzy's birthday too. I didn't know that, Schulte. That's funny. Chris Wynn, he doesn't watch any Lefty News show, even though I keep bugging him that he needs to. Man, maybe he's just got to keep it at arm's length for his own sanity. You know what I mean? I get it. But you did get him to listen to Phil Oakes. That's pretty cool. And yes, Karen, my birthday is on Wednesday. Merry Music Monday. Thank you, Corey. Good to see you. Magnetic Perturbation. Good to see you. Good to see everyone. We are at 30. We are at 30. What's up, Hemos? Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. What does that mean? That means you guys tweet me articles, you send me ideas, you drop it in the Reddit subsection, And that's how we do this show. We literally get our news on together. I'm seeing everything for the first time. You guys are seeing stuff for the first time. We're just figuring out what's going on today. We want to be an informed populace. That's our gig. Let's do it together. Why not do it with a group of like-minded people? The news is so freaking depressing. Why not try to learn about the world with a group of people that have some similar leanings in most cases, that kind of see the world through culture and music and discussion and value that, and comedy and value all that? Why not? Helps keep me sane. Hope it does the same for you. That was an aggressive intro, wasn't it? I didn't even mean for it to come off that way. It just sounded like it almost sounded angry. It totally wasn't intended that way. It was just like a, hey, this is what we do here. Isn't it cool? Anyway, I got a new backdrop. I know I was talking about that before we officially began, but yeah, I got a new backdrop. I got new lighting. This is all thanks to my amazing fiance. Isn't this cool? She surprised me with all this. How freaking cool is that? So here's my topic for Music Monday, to start out Music Monday. Now, you guys know the gig on Music Monday. Music is not required. We're not just going to talk about music, but it is encouraged. Some of you guys have sent some listening recommendations. Some of you guys have sent some articles pertaining to music. Others are just, other topics in the world. So we don't just do music, but music is encouraged. And here's my topic for this week. And this is a long time overdue, I feel like, just in general. And it's been said by other people. You don't need to hear it from me, but you're going to hear it from me anyway. So I was on a show not too long ago, and I mentioned, and it was like a live stream kind of like this one, and I mentioned that for my album, which Agnostic Holiday, you can pick it up now anywhere you get digital music, or digital downloads or whatever, you get the idea, iTunes, etc. For my album, Agnostic Holiday, what I did was I wanted to have just download cards, which I have, and I'm selling at my shows and what have you. And then I just wanted to distribute it digitally. And the only physical product I wanted to have was a limited edition run of vinyl. I didn't actually do CDs because, I had a little bootleg album that I would sell at my shows, and I just made CDs. And it took me forever to sell them because nobody frickin' buys CDs anymore. After shows, people would say to me, hey, I literally have no way to play that. Some people would buy one anyway. And they would be like, yeah, I'm going to buy this to support you, but I don't have a way to play this. So I feel like CDs are kind of not pointless to make. People do still buy them. But I'd rather, if I have to have a physical product, I'd rather just have vinyl. So I decided I'm going to do digital download cards, and eventually I'm going to have a limited edition vinyl. I'm going to do a short run of vinyl, and I'm going to sell those to whoever is interested in owning it. I'm going to sign every single copy. And that's what I'm going to do. So I mentioned that I'm going to do vinyl, and in the chat, some people were like, oh, Ron, you're such a hipster. Oh, that's such a cliche. Yeah, of course you want vinyl. Yeah. Here's the deal, all right? First of all, I'm too old to be a hipster, all right? That's just a fact. Maybe I'm a proto-hipster. I don't know. You can call me what you want. I don't understand how calling someone a hipster is an insult. And I know a lot of times when people call somebody that, it's meant as an insult. But to me, I'm like, why is that especially to somebody who's not 20. I'm not 20. So calling me a hipster which I don't even know what that means, but calling me a hipster, or calling someone like me a hipster, you're basically just saying, like, you still pay attention to stuff around you. Like that's, how is that an insult? You still enjoy live music, and you still pay attention, and you read and stuff. Loser. Why is that? How is that an insult? I don't understand how that's an insult. Somebody explain to me how calling somebody a hipster is an insult when they're over like 20 years. And even if they are 20 years old, how is that an insult? But when Mike S. points out, yeah, you like culture. You like culture? You enjoy that in the world? I'm like, yeah? Is that bad? You wear glasses. Yeah, I need them to see. You like to see and you like culture? You're such a dork. And maybe I am, but I don't know. I just don't get the insult. But anyway, alright, so getting back to vinyl, because I'm going to explain why vinyl is what it is and why vinyl is outselling CDs. It's not because it's trendy or it's hipstery. I mean, it is a little bit, yes, I'll concede there. It is hip right now. It is a bit trendy right now, but it's also superior. It is a superior product. So here's the deal, guys. And I know right now I'm preaching to the choir. But so vinyl, first of all, I'll say this about me. I've enjoyed vinyl since I was 6 years old. I got really into music at a young age. My parents introduced me to classic rock, and I freaking loved it. And one of my favorite things to do as a kid, I would love to have my dad. I didn't know how to use a record player, obviously, and I wasn't allowed to because I was like 6. But I would love to take out my dad's records, and he would play one for me. He'd be like, this is The Doors, this is Jethro Tull, this is Led Zeppelin, this is Gentle Giant. He dug deep, my dad did. So he would play a record for me, and I would have the record in my hand, and I would like read the liner notes, and I would look at the pictures, and it was such a cool experience to me, because when vinyl records were the only game in town, artwork was taken very, very seriously. That still happens today. I'm not going to say that has completely gone away, but has it diminished a little bit? I would argue yes. I would argue that artwork isn't quite emphasized as much now as it used to be when vinyl records were the only game in town. Now, hey, I'm proud of the artwork on my album. Story Grub, who did the artwork for my album, I love that man's art. I think he's incredibly talented. The fact that he was willing to do a cover for me was freaking awesome. And, the label was willing to pay him because they know how talented he is. And I love the cover he did for me. I freaking love it. And it was his creative vision. I didn't guide him or boss him around. I just said, you do you. The album's called Agnostic Holiday. My name's Ron Placone. You know that. Do the rest. And he made, in my opinion, an incredible album cover. But I think that vinyl, it used to just be more heavily emphasized. So that's part of the reason that vinyl is something that is very much loved. Now, getting into the sound of it. Vinyl has superior sound to albums. So imagine that the sound of recorded music is a pizza. I'm always hungry when I do this show, by the way. I think you all have caught on. We do a lot of food analogies in this show. And one, I just like doing them. Two, with my new diet, which I don't know if it's a real diet or not, but it's easy for me to do, so I do it. And that is the fasting diet, where you try to go for a 12 to 14 hour to 16 hour stint without eating, incremental fasting or whatever it's called. What is it called? It's something fasting. Anyway, the pizza analogy for vinyl. So imagine the recorded sound is a pizza. With vinyl, maybe you get like almost all the pie, except for like maybe the crusts. With the CD, you maybe just get a little bit of the middle, and you're really missing out on a lot of toppings, because when it gets when you break down the bits for digital recordings, because it's in a smaller space. Intermittent fasting. Thank you, Vegan Marine. Intermittent fasting. Anyway, I've been doing it. I've been able to keep my weight down relatively. So anyway, so I do that. So you get a better sound with vinyl, especially if you're playing it through a tube amp or something like that, than you do with CDs. So why were CDs ever popular? Well, because of convenience. There was a time where CDs were first brought to market, and holy shit, they're way smaller than vinyl. They're not near as heavy. We can just kind of pop it in. We don't have to flip it. We don't have to drop the needle. How convenient is that? So CDs were on the rise. I bought CDs for a long time. They were more convenient. CD players, you had handheld ones. It was really convenient. So, but what ended up happening was we got something more convenient than CDs. We got digital music. We got iPods. We got iPads. We got iTunes. Now you can just kind of have all your music on your phone. You have everything in the palm of your hand. And you can get albums that way. You can buy an album where it's just all MP3s and then you have the artwork there so you can still look at it. And you can get your music that way. So a lot of the sound is still lost. So that became more convenient than CDs. All of a sudden, CDs weren't the most convenient game in town. So what happened to CDs? Well, some people still wanted a physical product. I still enjoy having a physical product. If I really dig an album, I like to own it. I like to have something I can touch. I like to have something in my collection. A lot of people still feel that way. And a lot of the people that feel that way, they're really into music. So what's something that they know? They know that the best sound comes from vinyl. So if you want a convenient product, you're going to go for the most convenient product, which is a digital. And I get my music digitally too. I think all of us do at this point. But if you still want that physical, tangible product, well, you're going to go for the thing that sounds best. So that's why vinyl is outselling CDs. CDs were only there because of convenience in the first place. Now that they're not the most convenient game in town, they don't really have that much of a function. So vinyl is more popular than CDs. Vinyl is outselling CDs. And I don't see that ever changing. So that's why vinyl is popular. That's why people like it. That's why I'd rather have a vinyl for my album than a CD. And no offense, I own a lot of great CDs. I still love buying anything. And sometimes if I find a cool CD, I'll still buy it. But usually when I go to a record store, I'm looking for vinyl. And that's more people than not today. And it's not because they're just, oh, we picked up the hipster phone and it said vinyl's cool today. No, it's because it's better sound. And it's a cooler, tangible product in most cases. So why not just have something cooler if you want something physical, and have something that sounds better if you just want something physical? So there you go. Let me see what you guys are saying. Guys seem to be in agreement. Way better sound. Statutory says CDs cost 2 cents to make, and it is an easy profit margin for companies. Licorice Pizza Record Store. I've never heard of that, Edwin. Daniel rocks the tube amp. I don't own one of those, I got to admit. Jordan says that intermittent fasting sounds really unhealthy. I've worried about that, actually. I don't know if it's good or not. But I know that 12 hours is actually pretty healthy for your digestion. I don't know if over that you're just pushing it. Who knows? Tums Lover says, most people who use labels are pretty small-minded. Let them be small-minded. They most likely will never change anyhow. Screw the labels and be who you are and love who and what you love. I'm with you, Tums Lover. You know, the only labels I really do appreciate, though, are record labels. Music Monday! I like record labels. We got to do a segment on record labels where we talk about our favorite record labels. Now I'm already thinking of ones I want to throw out there. Let's save that, though. That's got to be a topic all on its own. Let's see. Brother labels. Statutory points out CDs were way overpriced in the 90s. Yes, but they also had those clubs where you could get the CDs. You know, like they had those CDs where, like, for a penny you would get like 40 CDs, and a lot of it was stuff you probably didn't want to listen to anyway. Some of it was. I think we all got. What was that one CD they shoved down everyone's throat? Like, literally, oh, it was like Stabbing Westward. That band, I remember that was like the tail end of CD clubs. And they just gave that CD to frickin' everybody. And they did give some good stuff too, like Jagged Little Pill, great album, Alanis Morissette, I love that album. And they gave that A1 and 2, Counting Crows. I enjoy Counting Crows. A1 and 2, not a big Counting Crows fan. But I enjoy Counting Crows. You guys are already jumping on the record labels. Save it. Although Daniel, K Records, Sub Pop, Factory Records, that is quite a trio of royalty. That is quite the royal triumvirate. Rough Trade, Mike. I went to Rough Trade when I was in London, and it was freaking great. But we will continue this. This has got to be another. This will be a topic for next Music Monday, where we actually talk about labels. But anyway, so that is what I got to say about vinyl. And that's why vinyl is outselling CDs. It's not just because we all played a hipster game of telephone and we all got the memo. It's because it has superior sound, and it's just kind of a more fun thing to collect. There you go. So we'll go to... Let's switch gears for a little bit and go to something not music related. We have a couple music stories today. We have a couple just regular stories today. And I wanna talk about this first, because you guys know this is an issue near and dear to my heart. The deadline for the CRA on net neutrality is approaching. The CRA is basically the congressional authorization that will overturn the FCC's decision to repeal net neutrality. This is one of 3 ways that we're really fighting back against net neutrality. The other ways, of course, are state bills, and the other way is the way that's most near and dear to my heart, and that's fighting for municipal broadband all across the country, taking the internet out of the hands of the corporations and putting it into the public's hands. But here's something related to the CRA, because the deadline is approaching December 10th. And here's something we should know. House Democrats who haven't supported net neutrality yet have all taken money from telecoms. The deadline to pass this piece of legislation is quickly approaching, and some Democrats are staying mum. I haven't heard that phrase in years. Like, I think I've heard it before in my lifetime, but anyway. The Democratic members of Congress staying mum on net neutrality have all taken campaign contributions from major telecom companies. The Dems have until December 10th to get 218 signatures, which would require every Democrat and a few Republicans. So far, they have 177 signatures. That leaves 18 Democrats in the House who have yet to sign the petition, which is, again, the only hope Congress has of voting and passing this resolution to restore net neutrality this year. A motherboard review of FEC filings has shown that each one of the representatives has taken $1,000 in campaign contributions from one or more major telecom companies, including AT&T, Verizon, Comcast, and the National Cable Television Association, an ISP trade group. So here's what we're going to do. You guys can see that, yeah? These are the people, and we're going to go through each one, because some people are going to get this just audio. And if you live in any of these districts, or even if you don't, contact these people. These are the Democrats in the House who are not supporting net neutrality. Net neutrality, again, is an issue that has unanimous support, even from the corporate Democrats, even Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, in favor of net neutrality. Our bill here in California was written by a very, very centrist Democrat. And it was a good bill. So this is something that isn't some fringe lefty issue. A lot of Republicans are on board with net neutrality at this point. And of course, there's some big tech companies that are in favor of net neutrality. They're in favor of it because it helps their bottom line. They're not in favor of it for the same reason you and I are in favor of it, which is for internet freedom. And so shows like this can continue to exist. But here's the Democrats that aren't on board with net neutrality. Brendan Boyle in Pennsylvania 13. Brendan Boyle takes money from Comcast and Verizon and NCTA. Robert Brady, also in Pennsylvania in the 1st District. He takes money from Comcast. G.K. Butterfield in North Carolina takes money from AT&T and NCTA. Matt Cartwright, also in Pennsylvania, 17th District, takes money from Comcast. Jim Costa out in here in California takes money from AT&T and Comcast. Henry Cooler in Texas 28 takes money from Verizon. Dwight Evans, Pennsylvania 2, takes money from Comcast. Vincent Gonzalez in the Tri-Caucus takes money from Carter. Josh Guttheimer in New Jersey's 5th takes money from NCTA and Charter. Gene Green in Texas's 29th takes money from Verizon. Tom O'Halloran in Arizona's 1st takes money from NCTA. Mary Gay Scanlon in PA takes money from Comcast. David Scott in Georgia takes money from AT&T. Brad Schneider in Illinois takes money from Verizon. Kristen Sinema in Arizona's 9th takes money from Comcast. Philemon Vala in Texas's 34th District takes money from Verizon and NCTA. Pete Visklosky in Indiana takes money from Verizon and NCTA. Frederica Wilson, Florida 24th, takes money from Comcast. If you live in any of those districts, even if you don't live in any of those districts, feel free to visit this article and feel free to go to these candidates' websites and call them. And by the way, the most efficient thing you can do is call. By the way, we've talked about that on this show and on the Jimmy Dore Show. The most efficient thing you can do is call, because they have to listen to those voicemails. If it's an email, they can just kind of delete it. If it's some kind of text message or something like that, or some kind, they can just kind of ignore that. But a phone call, they got to listen to those voicemails. They got to listen to it. And you can clog up their answering machine. You can hold up their line. You can hold up their office. So call and call and call and call. And when you're put on hold, keep calling. Be nice to the person that answers the phone, because that person answering the phone is not somebody with power. It's probably an unpaid intern. So be nice to the person that answers the phone. It's not their fault. But you tell them what you need to tell them, and you give them that message. And if any of you guys live in any of those districts, please call and call and call and keep calling. And let me go ahead and shout out the URL where you can get that list conveniently. I know I tweeted it out, but not all of you are on Twitter. So go to motherboard.vice.com. Motherboard.vice.com. The title of the article, House Democrats who haven't supported net neutrality yet have all taken money from telecoms. And this article is written by Kaylee Rogers. House Democrats who haven't supported net neutrality yet have all taken money from telecoms. And again, the website to find that article, motherboard.vice.com. Call those officials and keep calling. Because when it comes to net neutrality, we can't mess around. All right. We're going to go out to Denver. This is from Tim. Denver paid a cleanup company $400,000 to help in houseless sweeps. So, when Tim sent this in and I saw this headline, at first I thought maybe this was a good news that they were paying a cleanup company to help the homeless out. But then I, of course, read the headline again. I realized, oh no, this is not good news. This is actually really sad. Denver paid cleanup company $400,000 to help in houseless sweeps. All right, so what's happening here? Denver, Colorado. For at least 2 years, the city of Denver has been contracting Custom Environmental Services, Inc. to assist in clearing out camps of people without housing. Unicorn Riot filed Colorado Open Records Act requests and received about 50 invoices sent from CES to Denver Public Works from September 2017 to September 2018. In those 12 months, Denver paid CES nearly $400,000 to, in the invoices language, mobilize to site to continue cleanup, and mobilize to storage facility for homeless to claim belongings. Since the passage of the unauthorized camping ordinance in May 2012 by Denver City Council, the city has been criminalizing the ability of people without housing to survive. The ordinance states that it is illegal for anyone to shelter themselves from the elements while residing or dwelling on public or private property without appropriate written permission. People who sleep outside are woken up and asked to move along by police officers most nights. However, DPW and CES become engaged when there are dozens of people in one area that the city wants to evict. During these big sweeps, the police and the Denver Sheriff's Department are also involved. couldn't they use that money, that same money, couldn't they use that money to give homeless people something to do in the city? Couldn't they instead go to those homeless camps and say, hey, do you want to help sweep the streets? We got this new program. We have this publicly funded program. You're going to help the street sweepers. You're going to help them out. And you're going to get paid to do it. Instead of paying some private company thousands of dollars to basically brutalize homeless people and humiliate them, couldn't they just as easily use that money to provide housing or provide opportunities? You could just provide the housing, maybe provide services for homeless people that need it, which is a lot of homeless people. A lot of homeless people need help. They're sick. Others don't. Others are working. 44% of homeless people have jobs. They're working. We just have such a wealth disparity in this country that they don't have a home. I know working homeless people. I live in Los Angeles. I know working homeless people. I know people that work at comedy clubs. They work the door at comedy clubs, hoping that somebody sees them, a talent manager or a scout or something, hoping they get on stage on a Monday night, and then they go and they sleep in their car because they don't have enough. That part-time job is all they have. They don't have anything else, and it's not enough to afford rent in Los Angeles, so they sleep in their car. So couldn't you take that money and start some kind of a program? Start some kind of a program to help homeless people, or to give the ones that are able to work, give them an opportunity so maybe they can afford rent. Lucy agrees. Lucy agrees. I don't know if you heard her. She's hanging out, doing her thing. So that's really a big bummer. I mean, Denver's a relatively progressive city too, and a beautiful city. I love Denver. It's one of my favorite places. I will be there at some point in 2019. We haven't booked those dates yet because it's going to be later in the year. But the Progressive Comedy Tour will be coming to Denver. Can't wait to see you there. But yeah, it's too bad. It's too bad that the city of Denver thinks that that's a good way to spend their money. Hiring a private company to demonize homeless people instead of taking that same money and doing something to help them, or maybe giving them some opportunities to help the city. I'm not even asking for some crazy lefty thing here. I'm saying, you could help give them services, help provide some housing, and give them opportunities. Have them help. I mean, with that kind of money, why not give opportunities instead of paying a private company to humiliate homeless people? It's too bad. That's putting it lightly. My cat is closed in the bedroom, so please give me one moment. Shout out to our sponsors, ET.com, ZHITEA.com. Their tea kind of rules. And Lucy's free. All right. So let's go here, and we actually have to end early today, guys. I just got a phone call that I need to take. It's a family related matter, and I'll let you guys know more about it later. But I am gonna have to end a little early today. So here's something. Wait, I actually want to end with this. We're gonna do a couple music stories, then we're going to end with this, then we're going to go to the chat, and I will sign off a few minutes early today. But this is in Chicago, and it looks like we got a little bit of good news up in here. Chicago clubs unite to defend indie music. That's cool. Venues that have nurtured Nirvana, I've heard of them, they're pretty good. Smashing Pumpkins, also a fan. Liz Phair, yep, on board. Nico Case, yeah. I've seen half of those groups. I've seen Nico Case before, which I'm stoked to report I've done. And I've seen the Pumpkins. Nirvana, never had a chance. Liz Phair, haven't seen her. Would love to see her, but haven't seen Liz Phair. All right, anyway. So These group of venues formed the Chicago Independent Venues League in the face of the planned Lincoln Yards development. Some of the most influential music promoters in the nation banded together in Chicago Thursday to unite against a development project they say threatens their business, their independence, and the city's cultural vitality. Several owners of small independent music clubs that have nurtured the... All right, we already read that part. So they've united, going by the acronym CIVIL, Chicago Independent Venues League, in the face of the controversial Sterling Bay development, Lincoln Yards, on the north side of Chicago. Charging that Sterling Bay had already made an exclusive deal with the music industry behemoth Live Nation to control entertainment in the proposed $5 billion, 55-acre complex set to straddle the north branch of the Chicago River, they urged the city government to slow the process and await the results of next year's municipal election to determine the final size and scope of the development. Speculating on plans that Live Nation might open a pair of music spots, or as many as half a dozen in Lincoln Yards, along with a soccer stadium, Robert Gomez, civil co-chairman and owner of the clubs Subterranean and Beat Kitchen, both legendary venues by the way, said, "Is this like a shopping mall of music venues? Gross." I agree with you. The owners in their clubs include Joe Shanahan's I'm not sure how to say that, Smart Bar. I'm familiar with Smart Bar. And Metro, a punk palace that has played host to legendary shows by Nirvana and the Smashing Pumpkins. And Alkaline Trio. Let's give a shout out to some Chicago, although, well, Smashing Pumpkins are a Chicago band, so they do have a local band covered. But, you know, Alkaline Trio also played the Metro a lot. They would play it on New Year's Eve sometimes. Smart Bar and Metro I'm familiar with. G-Man I'm not familiar with. I don't even know if that's how I'm pronouncing it. But I've never lived in Chicago. Although, in my homeless days, my car was parked in Chicago an awful lot because it was on the way to everywhere, and I have a bunch of friends in that town. All right, Katie and Tim Tootin's club, The Hideout, and that sits in Lincoln Yards. Michael Johnson's Shoe Buzz. Shoe Buzz is another legendary venue in Lincoln Hall. Bruce Fatima's Thalia Hall. That's a legendary venue. Promontory. And The Empty Bottle. And Ray Quinn's Murders, a Northside neighborhood staple that, like The Hideout, has played host to the seminal British punk band The Menkins and Billy Helmkamp's new Sleeping Village in The Whistler. So basically what's happening here is a big behemoth, Live Nation, is trying to flatten the area and import as one of the venue owners in the civil group put it, a shopping mall of music venues in an attempt to completely homogenize concert going in that area. How do you avoid that? Well, you have independent venues. And they're trying to stamp out these independent venues, and they're fighting back by forming a coalition of people who care about music, people who own these venues, people who participate in their community, and people who vote. This is what you need to do to fight back. And as a lover of local politics, a lover of local activism, and a lover of music, I support them 110%. If you live in Chicago, please see how you can help out. And I can assure you when the Progressive Comedy Tour comes to Chicago, we will, of course, be playing one of these independent venues. That goes without saying, but of course that's where we'll be. We're not a huge market event by any means. I know that, but of course we always try to do our part the best we can. Shout out to these guys. They're doing something awesome, and it's a bummer that they're facing this. But it's good news that they're doing something about it, and hopefully they're successful, and we'll continue to watch this unfold. Thank you for that music news. That was really cool to share. And we got this. So this is from David Rovick, who you know I'm a fan of. Ken thinks we should check out his blog today. Now, David has told me I can play his music whenever I want. But let's talk about what's going on here. This is a track called Just a Renter. And this is about what's going on with rent over in Portland. Here's some of the lyrics. 10,000 yuppies just moved here. 10,000 others came last year. The rent has doubled since I moved in. Each month I take it on the chin. Each month I wonder how many more. Can I stay in Portland before I move into my car or end up somewhere behind bars? I'm just a renter. This ain't my town. And, you know, Portland is fighting for rent control, just as so many other cities are. Getting to David's blog here, half the city rents, the other half owns. It's true that most of these homeowners are homeowners in name only, but if they have a stable mortgage, then they're living in a different world from those of us who rent. And that's how we scare homeowners. You scare homeowners by saying, oh, it'll hurt your property value if we have rent control, which isn't actually true. Rent control assures that the landlord makes a profit. So there's still value in properties. There's still value and economic incentives to be a landlord. It just assures that it doesn't get out of control. And Portland's fighting for rent control just as other places. Rent control was shot down in California. The blue utopia that we're told of California, rent control got shot down. There was a huge big money campaign against it, and it worked. Rent control got shot down here in California. It didn't make it. So check out David Rovick's new stuff. David Rovick's friend of the show. I'm a big fan of what he does. And here's our last story for the day. And this is something that I think is pretty uplifting. So over in France, there are those yellow jacket protests that are going on. And there, of course, has been some violence between the protesters and the police. But very recently, in fact, this is pretty much breaking footage, has just been hitting online, and we're going to look at it. The police are kind of in support of the people. So check this out, guys. Here, let me scroll up to the beginning here. Sorry. Watch the French police officers remove their helmets in solidarity with the people. So let's take a look at it. So the Yellow Vest movement, sympathy from the police appears to be what's happening in France's Yellow Vest movement, and it could be a telling sign of things to come. So basically, they've been protesting. Lucy's really stoked about this. Look at her. She's here. I think the new lights have excited her. The new setup. Here, wait. Let me go. Yeah, there she is. See? All right, come here, sweetie. You want to sit with me? Yeah, knock over on all the pens. It happens. Here she is. Say hi, Lucy. She wanted a cameo. She likes the new lighting. She's like, it's an upgrade. The backdrop is way better. It's ironed and neat. Unlike the last one. Why couldn't you bother to shave for this morning, Ron? I'm sorry, Lucy. I should have. You're right. I do have a 5 o'clock shadow in lieu of my new setup here, which we're still tweaking the lighting, by the way. It's a little bright on my glasses. I gotta tweak that, but we'll be tweaking it. It's the first day. You get it. All right. So check this out, guys. So check this out. They removed their helmets in solidarity. There's the protesters. There's the police. And there's that. She's kind of struggling with hers, but she's taking it off. There she goes. See? How cool is that? And there's protests going on all over the world right now. There's protests for, too higher gas taxes. That's what's going on in France. There's also climate change protests also in France. And I think there's some similar protests going on in France right now. There's protests for climate change in the UK. They shut down London Bridge last week. We covered that on this show. There's similar climate change protests happening in Australia right now. And there's protests going on here in the United States. And here in the U.S., we need more of them because we need people to strike. And, so often you hear, especially in the United States, you hear about police cracking the heads of protesters. You hear of police pummeling protesters with freezing cold water in freezing cold temperatures, like what they did in Dapple. You hear of 80-year-old women being pepper sprayed. You hear of children being pepper sprayed. And your corporate media tells you, that's food, don't worry about it. Remember what we said. Next person that does that, they should have to prove it. They should have to take a thing of pepper spray, spray themselves in the face. Prove that. If it's food. So it's really nice to see police stand in solidarity with people and say, we're not going to fight this. And man, you know, again, here's the ideal hippie in me coming out. But if we did that all around the world, if all the cops said, we're not going to, these aren't the enemy. These people are not our enemy. We're not going to work for you anymore, oligarchy. We're not doing it. We're taking our helmets off. We'd live in a different world tomorrow. So, kudos to France. Vive la France. I don't know. Let me see what you guys are saying. We do need to end a little early, so I'll go to the chat now. And see what y'all are saying. And then we will dismount for the day. Is that a mousseline backdrop? I use one for my eBay store. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what kind of fabric it is. My fiance would know. This was a gift from her. But I hope you like it. And thank you very much for the Super Chat contribution, Krillin. I really appreciate it. Alfonso, thank you very much for the Super Chat contribution. Cat Purr is sending me to sleep. I don't know if that's a compliment or not, but thank you nonetheless. Lucy does what she can. Some of you guys are saying robotic police are going to come real soon in light of this story. And Jilly points out that not all the police behavior has been great, and Jilly's absolutely right. She brings up that cops were spraying in France. I haven't seen any of that, but I did see a couple cops beating the hell out of a protester, and that video was there too. So Jilly's right to point out it hasn't all been good in France, but it is nice that this happened, and hopefully this spreads and continues, and not the violence. But Jilly's absolutely right. It has certainly not been all. It hasn't all been a bed of roses. Creative Experiment says, when your country isn't sedated by opioids, you can protest better. And, you know, when you have universal health care, you can protest better. Alfonso points out it was a compliment. Thank you, Alfonso. I appreciate that. Daniel, Ron, will you ever play songs live on air again? So, of course I will. The thing is, and this is the honest truth, I know not everybody likes the music, and I get it. And that's fine. I don't take offense to that. Some people like it, some people don't. Music's my hobby, and I have fun with it. There's a couple songs on my album that I just did for fun, and if people don't like them, that's fine. If people do like them, that's great. But the truth of the matter is, when it's the morning, I'm just not, like, my pipes are just not quite there yet, and it's hard for me to sing all that well, and I'm not a great singer to begin with. I'm an average singer at best, and I'm a punk singer. So yeah, it's just a little harder. But that being said, sometimes the mood just strikes me and it's just the right moment. So I certainly am not opposed to it. It's just, I've instead enjoyed playing the theme song via a recording. And the recording of the theme song features the beautiful harmony of Jeff Epstein. You guys remember Jeff? He was my MMT guest. He works at citizensmedia.tv. I recommend checking them out. Jeff is a real singer and a beautiful singer. He does the high harmony on the theme song that makes it sound a lot better. And Balthazar, thank you. Balthazar says, I check out the tutorials I tweeted you about Streamlabs. Yes, I will look into that. And let's see. Statutory says, thank you very much for the Super Chat contribution, Statutory. WTF, those Frenchy police aren't cracking heads. How un-American. Bring back freedom from... I should have read it like, WTF, those Frenchy police aren't cracking heads. How un-American. Bring back freedom fries. I think that's what you were going for. Pretty sure that's what you were going for. Oh, Lucy's bored. Look, she's leaving. She's leaving. Lucy's bouncing. She's over it. She's like, dude. All right. Daniel says, those people can get lost. We love your music, Ron. Thanks, Daniel. It's very kind of you. Long Beach says, thanks for being the only news program to not cover the Bush casket procession. You're welcome. You're welcome. Creative Experiment says that RT live Paris protest camera guy was insanely good. I agree. Yeah, RT has a lot of really good footage of the protests. Freedom fries. And Belsilver points out that fries are a really big deal in Belgium, which is true. I have a comic friend who's Belgian, and he explained to me. I mean, I always knew French fries, but he was really big on fries and all the things you do with them. Krillin, thank you for the super chat contribution. I missed the JD show yesterday. Any news on the New York City show? No, not really. Not to my knowledge, anyway. I can tell you the Progressive Comedy Tour will be in New York City in June. I know that. We haven't planned the show yet, but we will be in New York City in June. Yeah. So, guys, we are out of time. We are going to end early. I do have something I need to attend to, and everything's okay. And I'll probably be giving you guys some more information because it may affect the shows this week. But thank you very much for being part of this. I'll shout out some tour dates. RonPlagone.com for all those tour dates. And also, we're getting a new RonPlagone.com really soon, so keep an eye out for that. January, Florida. Get your tickets now. Florida. We're going to Gainesville, Orlando, Coral Gables, Jacksonville, Florida. January, we'll be there. RonPlagone.com for tickets. Also, March, we're going to be in Pensacola and New Orleans. Get your tickets. April, Texas. We just confirmed Houston. We got Dallas, Fort Worth, and we just confirmed Houston. So we're coming to Texas, and we should be announcing Austin and San Antonio very soon. And where else do you want to see us? Email me, ronplagone.com, and get your tickets. All those tickets are available now. More dates are being announced. If you want to support this show on the sustainability end, please do consider becoming a patron. For a Give What You Can level, you get all kinds of exclusive content, and you help me upgrade this show. I can't just rely on gifts from my fiance. My birthday only comes once a year. I got to get a bunch of new equipment. If you're able to, please help support this show on the sustainability end. But just you being here makes the show possible, because Get Your News On with Ron would not be possible without you. It wouldn't exist. If you guys don't send me ideas, it's not the same show. This is the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show where you guys tweet me ideas. We get our news on together, because the news is depressing. So why don't we just gather as a group and get it going? Guys, we will be back tomorrow, same time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Time. That's when Get Your News On with Ron happens. Tweet me those articles. Drop them in the Reddit subsection. And thank you guys so much for being here. You make this possible. And I hope you like the new setup. Happy Music Monday.